I'm going to live with my parents, so you, a stranger, should find a cheap place to stay. Sorry for the trouble. I believed I could be happy, but my husband just used me. I felt betrayed by his parents as well, and it was a huge shock. I realized they still didn't understand their own shortcomings. If they kicked me out, who would pay the bills? I realized there was no point in staying with such people. From that moment, I knew what I had to do. I immediately contacted everyone and started making arrangements. What happened to the appliances? I had a service pick them up. What? The next day, I called a service to remove all the furniture and appliances. My husband was shocked and started to panic. My name is Michelle. I'm 35 years old. Since graduating from college, I've been working from home. I only commute once a month. I'm technically a full-time employee. The company has been very accommodating with my work schedule. That's because I have limited use of my legs. So even in my home, I use a wheelchair to get around. This happened because of a motorcycle accident I had in college. I was hit from behind on the highway and thrown off. When I was in the air, everything felt like slow motion. I remember thinking calmly, "It's over," as I was being thrown. Fortunately, my life wasn't in danger. However, I lost the ability to move my legs freely. I'm still undergoing rehabilitation, but I'll probably never fully recover. I've been living in a wheelchair for many years now. I thought I'd remain single forever. As I came to terms with my condition, I began to feel more at peace. I had always wanted to get married, and that feeling resurfaced. One day, my friends organized a group date for me. That's where I met my husband, Ken. He's 5 years older than me. He looked younger than his age. What surprised me was his behavior. He didn't act like he was 40. To put it nicely, he was very straightforward. He saw me in my wheelchair and asked all sorts of questions without hesitation. How do you eat? What about housework? Can you reach the laundry? Do you work? Can you go to the bathroom by yourself? What about bathing? While others were considerate, Ken showed no such concern. No one had ever done that before, so I felt oddly happy. Most people avoid asking about my legs. But Ken, in his bold manner, asked me everything. Normally, you'd think someone like that is rude, but I was happy. He was genuinely interested in me. We went on several dates after that and eventually started dating. I can be happy with this man, I thought. At that time, he was the only one I saw. And I believed I'd never meet anyone else who would stay with me. So, when he proposed after 6 months, I was overjoyed. But everything changed soon after we got married. We moved in together. We decided to live in my house. Although it's a house, it's actually a rental. It's a bit expensive, but overall, it's comfortable for wheelchair living. The previous tenant probably made it barrier-free. Ken liked the spacious house. Since I spent most of my time at home, I did almost all the housework. Occasionally, when I asked for his help, he'd say, "I'm tired today," and never helped. He wouldn't even assist me with bathing. What? No way, I won't do that. While I could bathe on my own, it took a long time. When I lived alone, a helper came twice a week to assist me with bathing. The other 5 times, I managed on my own, but I couldn't help thinking it would be quicker if he helped. I spent a lot of time bathing each time. I no longer hired a helper. Ken said it was a waste of money. While bathing, I had a thought. My arms were tired. The bathroom was already barrier-free. That was a key point when I chose the house. However, Ken would bathe first and leave things like the bucket and shampoo on the floor. Picking them up took extra time. Hey, can you think about me when I need to bathe alone? I just want to relax in the bath without thinking. No matter what I said, Ken wouldn't listen. This house is designed for you, isn't it? I moved in for you, so what are you complaining about? You wanted to move in too, Ken. What? When did I say that? This house was where I had been living. So everything was set up for wheelchair living. When I first brought Ken here, he looked at the spacious house and the appliances with excitement. I had spent some money on appliances and furniture. He even said, "I'd like to live here when we get married, but now. These handrails. They're in the way. This place looks like an old person's house." Why would you say that? I should have looked at other houses more. Living together made me realize something. He married me because I had a house and income and could do housework. He did ask a lot about my ability to do housework at the group date. Because he married me despite my disability, my colleagues and friends often tell me, "What a wonderful husband you have." What nonsense. He's just making me do everything, even though I'm disabled. Proof? He goes out drinking every night. He's been a part-timer since we started dating. Realizing this after marriage made me feel pathetic and I cried. Yet, I didn't leave him. Since he married me, he must have some love for me. I kept telling myself that. Hey. Give me some spending money. I just gave you some. That's already gone. Ken stopped working and started asking me for money. I consulted with his mother. Ken doesn't seem interested in working. What should I do? He's probably just tired from working so much. Let him rest a bit. Even though she always said, "You can talk to me about anything," she always took her son's side. I suppose it's natural since he's her only son, but I couldn't accept it. Since I've lost my parents, I have no other family to turn to. I felt utterly lost. I thought about talking to my friends, but the last time I vented a little, they said, "You're so lucky." Ken puts on a good front. That night, he confronted me. "Hey. You said something unnecessary to my mom, didn't you? About your job?" "Yeah." "Why did you make her worry?" "Unbelievable." "Then stop making her worry and get a job." When I said that, he stormed out. Whenever things got tough, he always left. And then he'd come back drunk in the morning. "Hey, I came back. It's early morning, you're disturbing the neighbors. Be quiet. Shut up. Don't tell me what to do." When he's drunk, he's completely unmanageable. During those times, I could only endure in silence. I was reaching my limit. I started to think about it. However, the thought of being alone again made me sad. I was torn between continuing to endure or living alone for the rest of my life. As the idea of divorce became more prominent, Ken suddenly said something. "I'm thinking of living with my parents." "What? Moving back to their house?" "No, they're moving here." He spoke as if living together was the most natural thing. And he decided on his own that they would move in here. His parents were elderly, and I understood wanting to be close to them. But both of them were still healthy, and I couldn't understand why they needed to move here when they had their own house. Isn't it unnecessary for them to move here? 4 people would make it cramped, and I work from home, so it would be difficult. You only think about yourself, don't you? I didn't realize you were such a selfish person. I'm just saying it's unnecessary for them to move here when they have their own house. This place is bigger and has all the latest conveniences. Plus, it's barrier-free. If they moved in, I'd have to be considerate of them while working. Ken is hardly ever home, but his parents, being retired, would be home a lot. Also, everything takes me a bit longer than most people, like using the bathroom and taking a bath. I could easily imagine how exhausting it would be to live while constantly being considerate. Give me some time to think about it. I can't wait long. Hurry up. Although he said he couldn't wait, Ken didn't actually wait at all. He brought his parents over that weekend. I realized this plan must have been in the works within the family for some time. "Listen, I've been thinking, maybe you should move into a facility?" Huh? I couldn't believe what I was hearing. A facility? Me? Yeah. It's a good idea, right? You can't do everything on your own, and a facility would take care of all that for you. It became clear that he wasn't just thinking of moving his parents in, he wanted to kick me out. "I'll visit you sometimes." I was completely awake now. If I don't fight now, when will I? What do you think I am? Huh? You're my wife. Are you telling your beloved wife to move into a facility? Wait a minute. When did I ever say I loved you? I felt my face flush with anger. He had been using me all along. How could I have not realized this sooner? I blamed myself for letting it go this far. I needed to set things straight. Then he said something even more outrageous. My parents are moving in here, so you, a stranger, should move into a cheap facility. What did you say? I looked to his parents for support, but they just grinned eerily. What are you smiling about? Sorry about this. They may have been planning to take over my house from the start. Everything was happening so fast lately. I realized I needed to get these people out of my house. Leave now. What did you say? Leave immediately. How dare you talk to my parents like that? I saw his true nature. He was yelling at me with a furious expression. If they were so important to him, he should earn money and build a house for them. Why should I let them take my house? My anger boiled over. Ken, it's okay. Michelle is just surprised because we came suddenly. We're just here to check the place out. Yeah, we need to check before moving in. It looks even more convenient with the new appliances since the last time we were here. They were serious about taking my house. I took a deep breath to calm down. As I cleared my mind, a question arose. What will they do after they kick me out? Ken's parents are on pensions, and he is a part-timer. I currently cover all the rent and living expenses. Who's going to pay the $2,800 rent? Do they think Ken is earning the money? Ignoring my doubts, they left cheerfully. Ken left with them. I'm staying at their house tonight. Wait. We need to talk. There's nothing to talk about. I've made my decision. My mind is set. I was left alone, feeling utterly stunned. However, I couldn't just sit around. I knew I had to do something, so I called a realtor I knew. That night, Ken stayed at his parents' house and didn't come back. They were probably celebrating their victory together. I began sorting my belongings, separating what I needed from what I didn't. The next day, Ken came home to find everything organized. Wow, you've started tidying up. Did you find a facility already? Yes, I did. He was clearly surprised by my immediate response. I handed him the signed divorce papers. Here, I've signed my part. You need to sign it too. Divorce papers? Why are we getting divorced? Because you're kicking me out, right? So there's no point in being married anymore. Ken looked as if he had been hit by a ton of bricks. He clearly didn't expect me to initiate the divorce. No, you need me, don't you? I have no idea what you're talking about. Who else would marry you besides me? I can live on my own. But you said you wanted to be married. His frantic state revealed just how arrogant and self-assured he had been. He saw me as a lonely woman with a disability and thought he could take advantage of that. I was independent, financially stable, and could manage the household. Plus, since I was always at home, I took care of the housework. For him, I was the ideal woman for maintaining his freedom. He didn't need to work because I was earning money. Marrying me made him look good to others, and he thought I wouldn't leave him because I had no other options. He had been thinking that way and remained confident. That's why he was so shocked when I handed him the divorce papers without hesitation. But, if you divorce me, you might be single forever. I'd rather be single forever than stay married to you. You'll spend the rest of your life lonely. Whether I'm lonely or not isn't for you to decide. He was clearly panicking because I, who had been compliant until now, was finally fighting back. I could see how unsettled he was. I never realized what a weak man he was. Why had I been so considerate of him and followed his lead? Deciding to divorce him lifted a weight off my shoulders. I realized I had been trapped by my desire to be married. Look, there's no need to rush moving out. I didn't mean for you to leave so soon. Oh. Don't worry. I'm giving you exactly what you wanted. Now, hurry up and sign the papers. But you can't find a place to live that quickly. Think it over. I've already arranged for a facility, so it's fine. What? Wait, this is too fast. I watched his constantly changing expressions with a mix of amusement and disdain. He oscillated between mockery and panic. As I became more clear-headed, he started to seem increasingly annoying. I've already informed the facility's manager, and they know my situation well. I'll be fine. When did you arrange all this? You've been planning this for a while, haven't you? Yes, even before I met you. In reality, I had already planned for my future and selected a facility. It was more like an apartment than a typical facility. After my injury, I felt uncertain about the future and read various investment books during my hospital stay. That's when I decided to invest in stocks and real estate. I had diversified my salary and my parents' inheritance. I had already purchased the facility I had my eye on and had been renting it out for rental income. I never mentioned any of this to Ken. It was my secret stash. There's no need to divorce. Fine, you can stay here. Let's live with my parents. You really don't understand, do you? There's no way I'm living with them. He was incredibly naive. Even after I mentioned divorce, he still believed I had no one but him. Sorry, but my mind is made up. What's with all this selfish talk? Do whatever you want. Don't come crying to me later. I won't. Just sign the papers already. He fell silent, thinking things over. It must have been a few hours. I spent that time organizing my belongings. Then I overheard Ken making a phone call. From his tone, it was clear he was talking to his parents. He couldn't even make this decision on his own and had to rely on them. How pathetic. After a while, he came over to me. Fine. I'll divorce you. But once I sign, you'd better leave right away. He reluctantly signed the divorce papers. He probably didn't want to lose his maid, but thought he could rely on his parents for household chores. The house was there, furnished and equipped. At least for now, there were no immediate problems. He had made peace with it and threw the divorce papers at me before heading back to his parents. I'm going to discuss the future with my mom and dad. Start packing. Yes, I'll do that. In a week, I finished moving out. During that time, Ken didn't show up once. The next time we met was a day after I had completed the move. I was about to start my new life in my new place. Ken called me outside the house. Hey. What's going on? The place is empty. What happened to the appliances? I had a service pick them up. What? The next day, I called a service to remove all the furniture and appliances. Ken was flustered and started to panic. His parents were also there. Everything here was mine. I've used these since before we got married. All you have left is in those 3 boxes. There were only 3 boxes left. I had also left the clear storage boxes we had purchased after getting married. Michelle, this is ridiculous. You can't leave us with nothing. Divorce requires splitting assets. Right, we can't live here without anything. What are you talking about? No one can live here. What do you mean? The rent is $2,000 a month. They were stunned. I had already informed Ken about this when we got married. This isn't your own house? No, it isn't. I explained that I had arranged a slight rent discount through a realtor friend. I also informed them that if I moved out, the rent would increase significantly. Given that it was a barrier-free property, I had already received several inquiries from people with similar needs. I suggested they move out. Why didn't you tell us this earlier? Yeah. What are we supposed to do now? That's not my problem. I informed Ken. I didn't hear anything. I'll sue you. I expected this response. To outsiders, it might look like I selfishly divorced, terminated the lease, and took all the furniture and appliances. But I was prepared. Sue me? Do you have the money for that? His face twisted. He didn't have the money to hire a lawyer. Even if he could somehow afford it, I had an ace up my sleeve. I handed a few photos to Ken and his parents. When did you take these? The photos showed Ken gambling and spending time with other women. This was all done with my money. I'll use these in court. Ken. What is this? You said everything would be fine. His parents were clearly panicking. What was going on? Suddenly, Ken apologized deeply. I'm sorry. Forget about the divorce, please come back. I need you, Michelle. You're the one who kicked me out. The divorce is already finalized, and you said you didn't love me. I'm leaving. Now, even his parents apologized beside him. We have nowhere else to go. This was news to me. What do you mean? Our house was foreclosed. To my surprise, they had to vacate their home in a few weeks. They had declared bankruptcy. The debt accumulated by Ken's father had snowballed to an unmanageable amount for pensioners. Ken, who had been getting an allowance from his parents while single, realized their house was at risk and thought marrying me would secure his future. I now understood why mother-in-law had been so kind before the marriage. It's too late to apologize. We're strangers now, and I can't help you. Are you okay with us being homeless? That's your own fault. At least give us the appliances and furniture. You have money, Michelle. Do you plan to sell them? No. Their intentions were obvious. I made it clear that I had no intention of giving them any furniture or appliances. Don't say that. Please show some mercy. It's too late for apologies. You'll have to figure it out yourselves. We can't, which is why we're asking you. I told them, who were being too persistent, that if they couldn't pay the rent, they had to leave. Since the lease was in my name, I could simply cancel it. It was easy to evict them. Even if the lease was transferred, Ken wouldn't be able to afford to live there without a job. I had already confirmed this with the realtor. I can't afford the rent. In the end, it was decided that the lease would be cancelled. I no longer needed the house, and since the divorce was finalized, everything was over. I managed to get the stunned trio out of the house and locked it up. What are we going to do now? I'm moving into my facility now. Goodbye. A facility must be a terrible place with no freedom. Enjoy your miserable life there. Ken couldn't resist throwing one last insult my way. I ignored him and left them behind. However, Ken wasn't going to stay quiet. A few days later, he showed up at my new facility. Hey, what's going on? This place is... He looked like he was about to faint when he saw the facility. It's far from a miserable place. It's the best. The facility I moved into was a luxury one worth $1 million. I had saved diligently and invested wisely, allowing me to purchase this place. The previous tenant had just moved out, so I could move in immediately. I sold some appliances for extra cash, and I still had plenty left. This facility was expensive for a reason. It had doctors and helpers on site. The layout was like a high-end apartment, offering privacy. The unit was a 3-bedroom apartment, allowing families to live together, so some residents were couples or families. I could call a helper with the push of a button, and I received daily assistance with bathing. I initially intended this place to be my final residence, but I'm glad I decided to move in now. You had this much money? So what? And I don't appreciate you coming here. We're strangers now, so leave. Ken suddenly tried to act sweet. Honestly, it was creepy. Just let me stay here alone, please. What are you talking about? That's not happening. We're divorced. Face reality. Come on, let's get remarried. I'm living in a motel now. Isn't that pitiful? I can't get a job without an address. What a shameless man. It seemed he had already abandoned his parents. He only thought about himself. You should look in the mirror. You look pathetic. What? You're a grown man who relied on his parents for money, became a parasite after marriage, and now you're homeless and begging. Pathetic. His face turned red. Aren't you ashamed of begging your ex-wife? Look, everyone's watching. The residents peeking out from their balconies were watching. In fact, I had asked them to do this in advance. I asked them to watch when my ex-husband came to visit. I always believed that he would come to see me at least once. I thought he would either come to see my miserable state in the facility or to beg for something. The residents were very cooperative and looked at him with deliberately pitiful eyes. Their acting was spot on. I wanted to applaud them. Ken finally realized how shameful his actions were when he saw the stares around him. "I won't bother you again," he said with a pale face and then left. He probably won't come here again. Later, when I went out, I met his mother working at the grocery store checkout. His father works as a janitor, and she is a cashier. As soon as she saw me, she turned her face away and hid. She was scolded by a young female employee for her behavior. Ken, it seems, was introduced to a job by someone he met at a motel and is now being overworked for ridiculously low wages. I frequently host home parties and live happily every day with people from the same facility. I've also made friends with others in wheelchairs. Living here is so comfortable and joyful that I wish I had moved here sooner. I've even found time to resume my long overdue rehabilitation. Now, I have a goal to move my legs by myself, even if just a little. My work and personal life are both fulfilling, and I'm enjoying every day.